Just a few remaining days in NFL best ball draft season. And here at Spike Week, we're chasing the big overlay. Drafters Fantasy, big time overlay in the NFL Best Ball Championship with $300,000 to first place. And today, on Monday afternoon, Best Ball, myself, Erik Beimfohr, and Rob Coakley are going to go head to head in an NFL Best Ball Championship draft on Drafters to see who can build the best team to try to take down that $300,000 top prize. Well, let's do it.
3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Rob, I cannot believe the final week is officially here. I know it's Thursday it's technically been the final 7 days for a few days now, but like Labor Day, Monday of Labor Day weekend, leading into the actual first week, it feels like official final week in NFL best ball season is about to wrap up, which is bittersweet. But also, I still feel like I have about 10,000 drafts I want to do in these next 4 days. So we're still amidst the marathon. We're at the end. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but I still feel like I'm running that marathon right now.
I feel like I'm hitting that finish line. I don't think I'm doing anything else on DraftKings. I think I have this is going to be my 142nd or 143rd of the Drafters Championship. Nice. And, we'll get those tickets tomorrow. We'll finish that up. And on Underdog, I might do like 5 more of the weekly winners, maybe. But we finished Best Ball Mania on stream yesterday. Had our 150th team. Did not get an early draft position because God forbid that happens. You'll see today, as I will probably be picking third behind Erik Beimfohr for the ultimate troll to wrap up this offseason. He'll get the 2 pick. He'll let the clock run down. He'll grab Jamar Chase, and I'll log off. It's how this is going to go. But yeah, less than 100 hours. We're going to get football Thursday night. I get to see all my teams jump into first place with Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be great.
We're probably going to, I see that the lobby is 9 to 12. We might end up in the next one. We're going to talk for just a couple minutes to have a smidge of housekeeping to run through. So bear with us. Thank you for letting us know where it's at, Jeremy. I will say the drafts are filling super quick. Like I have no concerns with, in May or something, you do a non-underdog draft. You might have to wait a little bit for things to fill. We are not in that situation on Drafters right now. That is for sure. They're pretty much filling about as quick as you can get. It's about as quick as a BBM draft will fill. Everybody piling in for that overlay. But a couple of really quick things. I did want to bring up all of your Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes exposure. You need a screenshot. This is like the guy who stacks the first game in the NBA slate or the first game in the like that's what you did. If for my DFS people, there's a thing that people would play, 7 guys in the Wizards are playing the Hornets at 7 p.m. It's the only game that kicks off and everybody stacks it so you can get that currently winning $1 million. That's what Rob did this whole long summer, a long con just to get the currently winning, having more Patrick Mahomes and more, Chiefs than everybody, and probably drafted some Lions too. I assume everybody's been on at least some of the Lions. And so you're definitely going to get that screenshot equity of your advance rate. You got to post your advance rate after Thursday Night Football because yours is going to be the highest in the whole industry. Yeah, this is going to stacking the first MMA fight. Like, shocker, you're in first. You played both fighters in an MMA DFS tournament. But really quickly, as I mentioned, you guys are all probably aware, as we're speaking right now, the Drafters $20 NFL Best Ball Championship is 71,038 entries have been put into it. The max entries is at 111,252. So, of course, the pace has picked up as everyone has spotted the overlay, and we're all piling in to try to get as many teams in as we can in my opinion, the most plus EV best ball tournament you can play in so far, probably that has existed at all, especially with the amount of just total raw dollars that exist in this and 300,000 to first place. But it's going to get, 80 to 90, somewhere between 80 and 90,000, I would guess, is what we get in here. So you're going to get some really nice overlay It's a great tournament to hop into if you are looking for, like Rob said, you max Best Ball Mania, or you're just done with Underdog. You've been drafting that all summer. DraftKings, maybe you're done with the Millie Maker. You're not interested in some of their other tournaments. I really would highly recommend this. Their $3 is also still open, but getting that one's definitely going to fill. And then they have a $250 high roller, which of course Rob, myself, and Hacker all ended up in the same draft.
Not on purpose.
Yeah, literally not on purpose yesterday. But that's also really nice because it is, of course, drafters cumulative scoring format. So no playoffs, no nothing, no advancing, none of that. But it's only 216 people, and it is $15,000 to first place. So for $250, you can win you can win 15 grand, and you only have to beat 215 people over the course of 17 weeks. So I'm going to get at least one more into there. Hopefully maybe stream one of the high rollers. But so check those tournaments out. On top of that, if you have not noticed already this weekend, Drafters is constantly running promos and free ticket giveaways and bonuses this weekend, which still is alive today. If you are drafting or have not drafted, now is a great day to start. You see over here on the feed, long weekend flash bonus special. For every 5 of the $20 NFL Best Ball Championship teams you draft, you'll get a free one. So I've been trying to get to you can draft as many as 25 from Friday to today, and you can get 5 free tickets. So if you can somehow stomach 25 drafts today and you haven't started, you'll get 5 free ones. But for every 5 you draft, you can get a free ticket. And I've been trying to get to that 25 number since Friday. I actually don't know where I am, but I think I'm getting pretty close. And so you can get even more free stuff, right, from Drafters. Oh, there's going to be overlay. You're getting free tickets. And if you have not signed up, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you see a 100% deposit bonus if you use promo code SPIKE. So go to Drafters, put SPIKE when you sign up or when you deposit into the promo code section, and you'll get, so you put $100 in there, you get a free $100. Take that $100, do those 5 drafts. You're going to get another free $20. And the next thing you know, you just have so much extra free money. That is the gloriousness that is Drafters and NFL Best Ball right now. So
they're doing it right. DraftKings not doing it right.
I don't know what DraftKings is doing. I feel like there's
fuck is that? That is the worst thing I've ever seen. Did you see what they're doing?
Yes, they got a monkey somewhere that comes up with their promos. And
so disappointed.
Yeah, I know, but we won't get into DraftKings here. But yeah, okay. I know people want to get in, and I know Jeremy's. We were going to do it behind the scenes, Rob, but just go ahead and let's
hold on. We got to wait for the next one.
Okay, I didn't join yet.
Don't join because it's 10 out of 12. We're not going to get it.
Jeremy said it was 4 out of 12.
No, all right. It's 10 out of 12.
Okay. Well, we're going to wait for 2 randoms who are not watching this stream to join, and then we'll get the next one, and we can have Jeremy will get a full friends and family draft in the next one.
Yeah, because otherwise it would be me in one and you in another, and all right, it looks like it's fresh now. Let's go do it.
All right, perfect. The whole point was let me refresh.
Have you joined?
No.
Tell me when.
Mine still says 10 out of 12. Does yours say?
Mine says 2 out of 12.
All right, well, click and pray. We'll see if we're in the same one or not.
7 more. 6
okay,
more.
we're good. Okay, we're good.
All right.
They're filling so fast. It's not. I love the fact that you can just quickly and easily see how many people are in there. It's an awesome feature. They have so many really like low key, really good features on Spike Week, on Drafters. I say Drafters and Spike Week so much in the same sentence. I'm confusing them. But 2 things. They do as a person who drafts, like while he's walking the dogs or while he's cooking dinner or all that kind of stuff, they send out the notification when you're on deck in your draft, which is absolutely incredible. You get you're definitely it's also always on time. Like their notification system is really on it. There's DraftKings, you might get the notification when there's 4 seconds left when you're on the clock. Drafters is the best there, in my opinion. It's crucial for us sickos drafting. But then like low key, the little things like I just click here and I can see how many people are in that room is amazing. Like I know what, throughout the course of the summer, I'm trying to get some drafters in, but If it's 0 out of 12, honestly, I'm not going to be that first guy that pulls that trigger, but it's 8 out of 12, 9 out of 12. I'm like, this is the perfect time to get that drafters one in there. So I know that other sites have that, but it's not as quick and easy to see, in my opinion, as it is on drafters.
And as you can see up top on Eric's screen, we are both in slow draft hell right now. I just counted as we were doing some of the housekeeping. I have 35 slow drafts left, and we were talking a little bit beforehand how both of us, we make worse teams slow drafting, and you would think that you would make better teams. But I think I said it on stream yesterday. The way I equate it is, it's like, of course.
I
thought I was just showing a slide. I thought I was at the end of this draft somewhere.
I pulled up while we're waiting for this to fill. It's just filled. But I wanted to see if this was one of my terrible teams. I was hoping that it would be, because I'm on the clock, and it would be one of those, as Rob said, where I'm just like, I'm so tired of this, and oh shit, I drafted Jonathan Taylor, or oh shit, I drafted Jerry Jeudy, and I'm just like, I'm so done with this. I'm so done with this team.
I think the way I equated it was like, because you're almost like telling a story when you're drafting a best ball team. So like, imagine trying to tell a story, and every 2 sentences you stopped and waited for 16 hours. Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Like, this is how every draft with me and Eric goes. Every single draft.
Even better that even better that you did get a top 5 pick, which is great, but you're still behind me. Is great.
Always. It just doesn't stop. It's just so fucking miserable. And then Hacker gets in the 250 yesterday. First bullet gets the 101.
101, yep.
I haven't had a 101 or a 102 in any high stakes things this year. I just wanted Jamar Chase teams in a high stakes thing. This is like Festivus right now. This is where we come and air our best ball grievances for the year.
I hope people haven't been looking for like really positive content over the next 4 days, because it's just going to be, well, Rob's got 3% Jamar Chase. Fuck this whole NFL season.
Yeah. So yeah, and the 5 spot isn't even as good as it used to be, because fucking Cooper Kupp's hurt.
The top 5 was amazing, and the top 5 is still okay. It has got me. We should talk about that super quickly before the draft starts. I was not really taking Travis Kelce, because he was very clearly the 6th for me, and a lot of people would take him before 6. So I would get Tyreek, I would get Cooper Kupp, very rarely Christian McCaffrey or whatever, right? When people would reach for Travis Kelce. It's not that I dislike Travis Kelce. I mean, I dislike very old players who, can be fragile, and I love tight ends, but I love the elite tight ends, but I can get elite tight ends later as well, blah, blah, blah. But all this has done for this last week, it kind of feels like a little bit of a blessing, where I really wasn't drafting Travis Kelce. Now I'm going to get a handful more Travis Kelce teams, because I'm not drafting Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to draft Cooper Kupp 5th overall anymore. I'm just going to take Travis Kelce and be like, this is going to be my Travis Kelce time when I get the 105 or 106 and he's still there. And I'm totally fine with that.
I think I might have some fun with this draft. We might move some people around the board a little bit.
Tyreek Hill, easy game. Boy, Tyreek, what could possibly go wrong with the amount of Tyreek Hill that I have? It's a ton, and he's one of the guys that sometimes falls a little bit to 5 or 6 or something. And the guy who can't go on a deep sea fishing expedition without like beating the shit out of somebody and berating them, this poor tour guide or whatever, gets berated by Tyreek Hill, and he's got all these historical issues. He's already coming out saying, yeah, I only want to play a couple more years. Like, what could possibly go wrong having like 50?
He's not not playing. He's not going to sign another contract. This was the shit I was worried about in the beginning of the season. When you start saying that you're not going to, you're playing out your contract and you're retiring and stuff like that, that shit worries me. I was already worried about Tyreek. I overcame it and was drafting him. I was worried about Cooper Kupp. He's older than like what we like and everything. And that we're seeing those issues. And I was like, well, I can't fade everybody as much as
you do have to draft someone in the first round, believe it or not.
As much as I want to fade everybody, I can't fade everybody.
This isn't a keeper league. You can't keep your first round pick from last year. You got to take one of these guys.
Yeah. So like I ended up starting to take them. I didn't go crazy with them, and I was sliding AJ Brown and Amon-Ra up the board a bit here and there. I wish I
Amon-Ra's a
did it
really good
more.
one. Yeah, Amon-Ra's a really good one. I think he also made a lot of sense as a guy who would steam up, so you could get some really fun combinations with him if you were playing around with when you were drafting him. I will say I'm not really actually worried about Tyreek Hill. I get, you know, any, like, I'm the one that brought up. I mean, he's a crazy person, so like he's not a sane human being. So there's always like a small risk about that, but I'm not worried about him for fantasy. I am, however, worried about Cooper Kupp. To why Dad's question, what are you guys doing with the Kupp thing? I've seen him fall to the 4th round. I think I would probably pull the trigger in the 4th. I think I probably
4th
pulled it.
round?
I would.
Where?
So I'm not really drafting him even in the 2nd round, but nowadays you get to the 3rd round and you get past, like, you know, Olave and Waddle and those guys, and you get into DK Metcalf and Keenan Allen, and I hate all the running backs that are there, and it's just like elite quarterback or Mark Andrews or something like that. Like I'm very, very worried about Cooper Kupp. Like, very worried. Not just about him playing, you know, the first couple of weeks, but like what does this look like now with the Rams probably being really, really, really bad with him? But once we get into, it's kind of like the JT thing. We threw JT back into like the 90s, but we plopped him into a spot where, like, okay, he's after a huge tier break. Let's put him in this big tier break. And that's kind of how I feel with Cooper Kupp. So like maybe early 3rd round, something like that. I know maybe that's crazy, but I'm pretty worried.
Yeah, I would grab him 3rd round. I haven't seen him drop like that. I've heard people like mention this. It feels like a unicorn. It's like, where are you guys seeing these drops happen?
He still goes in the late 1st in every draft I'm in.
Same. So I would grab him 3rd round, and I don't even want to grab him, but yeah, I would grab him.
Yeah, I don't want him, but in, like, 3rd round, God forbid the 4th round, absolutely. I'll just like take it and pray. You know, if he's back week 2, who gives a shit? You know, who gives a shit? You just need the Rams to win a few games. That's all.
I've been struggling, like, as much as I joke about it, something I've been struggling with like the last 2 weeks is when I do get a 101, building teams that I like out of it, because like you love Jefferson, and I'm trying to. It just feels like you get like cornered into the same teams almost.
Yep.
And that's something that I was struggling. I built like the worst 101 team earlier today, trying to do something a little bit different. And I just looked at it. I'm like, this team sucks. I hate this team. It's probably going to be the winner because I hate it so much. You know how that goes. But yeah, that's so the 101, the 102, when you do get them, trying to do anything with them, it just seems hard. And you always see Hurts go at the 101 team.
Hurts always goes to the 101 team, and they obviously don't have AJ Brown, and they don't typically even always have Devonta Smith. It's because the 2-3 turn has dried up. I'm doing some Andrews, Lamar stacks with Jefferson. I already did that a handful of times, so I'm not trying to overdo it. I don't want to have like 15 Lamar, Andrews. I don't want all my Jefferson teams to be like that. Oh, Metcalf, nice. I'm mixing and matching with some of these wide receivers around there, like pull Metcalf and Keenan up. Just, you know, pull Debo and Keenan up, whatever. Just like, because like you said, I used to love every single, you know, in June, every single, like we had infinite options. Like Pollard went back there, you know, like it was a very different time. Now I think it has changed quite a bit, and I don't actually love the 2-3 turn. And so to that point, we got to dig a little deeper into the bag around the turn, actually, than we used to. I don't hate the middle of the draft anymore, but then we have the problems with the 1st round, which doing things like you're doing, like let's just freaking pull up the early 2nd rounder into the middle of the 1st. Now you get this super unique Tony, and like I don't see what's wrong with Tony. Like, it's kind of surprising to me that Tony Pollard is a late 2nd or an early 2nd round pick and not a 1st round pick. You know, there's just, so like we've reached this kind of funky point of the draft season where I think it's okay. Like, just because you are like, you know, your brain is warped from how drafts have been all summer, I think it's okay to like take a step back and step outside that box. Like, now's probably the time to do it. I like, we'll get to this later. I'm sure I'll get sniped on it, which maybe it'll be okay. I'm like reaching on my late round running backs. Like, all these guys have 190, 200, 220 ADPs. I don't give a shit. I'll take them at 180, 175, whatever. Like, just give me those guys that I'm trying to get exposure to. We got 3 days. You have 3 days to get do you want to draft this guy or do you not want to draft this guy? Right? Like, do you want to play the ADP game and get somebody you don't want, or do you want to get the guys that you want? Like, at a totally negligible difference in terms of their actual draft capital.
Yeah, the last few drafts I've just been, still structurally sound teams as much as possible, but
right,
while getting the people that I want to get and just being like, I have 5 drafts left and I'm just gonna pound these guys into my lineups as long as it makes enough sense. Have you been struggling in the back end of drafts with running backs the last week? Feels like there's just been I don't know, when you get to the 170s, maybe it is, where the running backs are just gone. And then you're in complete flyer zone. And I just don't feel like we had that all season until the last week or so.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, I do feel good because we definitely, us here and other sharper folks in the industry, definitely nailed the like cream of the crop in those mid to late round running backs, right? Jalen Warren shot way up. Tank Bigsby shot way up. Tyjae Spears shot way up, right? Damian Harris is on his way back up after the plummet, right? Penny did the same thing, fell way down, and now he's on his way back up after the plummet. And Brees, who I just took, is on his way back up after the plummet, et cetera, et cetera. But what that has created, is kind of like, it's almost like the Roshan line now. Like, we have the Bateman line at wide receiver, where it's like, after Rashad Bateman, I fucking hate every single wide receiver. At running back, it's kind of like Tyjae and Roshan are like in the 150s or so, maybe 160, depending upon the site. I think they go in around 160 here on drafters. And like, once they're gone, it's like, this is actually what I've been doing to answer this question that I'm just pulling up. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Give me Deion Jackson and Evan Hall. Give me Kyron Williams. Give me Chuba has really fallen. So I've been mixing some Chuba in. 1 second. This Hawkinson fall is kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I don't have a lot of Hawkinson.
I was taking him like never, and now I'm starting to get a little bit more because I think people are a little concerned. I also really love this. I like late round tight end on drafters because I think there's a lot of really good ones. But it's gotten tougher, right? With the price increase on Ferguson and Juwan and Chig and all those guys going like the 140s to 160. As opposed to and Musgrave, as opposed to being able to get those guys in the 18th round. I feel like it's pushed me to a little bit more elite tight end too. And Hawk has been a guy for sure. But yeah, anyway, to answer the running back thing, I've just been pulling up those guys. Pull up Josh Kelly, pull up Kyron, pull up the Colts guy. I mean, the Colts guys are just smashes to me on drafters. Absolute stone cold smashes. Deion, whichever you prefer. I've been drafting both. I'm actually trying to get Deion and Hall on teams because they're so cheap. Taking those guys, like I said, Josh Kelly, getting back into the Bengals running backs. I've been taking Travion Williams. He's back at practice and saying he's 100% healthy. He's super free because he got hurt. Just stuff like that. Keontae Ingram, just
love
cycling
Keontae
through.
Ingram. He's getting pulled up some too.
So he's starting to get pulled up too. It's all the names are getting pulled up now, because we know now, everybody knows. It's like we were taking shots on Evan Hall and Keontae and Josh Kelly and stuff before it was for sure that they were, the backups. Now everyone knows that they're the backups and there's not a lot of guys back there. So I think Travion would be the guy that I'm most, and Justice Hill would be the guys that I'm drafting the most, like in the 19th round or whatever, just because. Yeah.
The Colts thing, I'm grabbing Evan Hall. I haven't grabbed a lot of Deion Jackson. I'm still sprinkling in Kareem Hunt for that role because I believe that the Colts will probably bring him in week 2 because they don't want to guarantee his contract, especially with the ambiguity of the whole situation with Jonathan Taylor. So I'm guessing they're going to wait till week 2, bring him in. If he's something, they keep him on the team. There's no other offers coming in for him right now, so they don't have to rush to get him or anything like that. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen there. But, that's obviously projecting completely.
I think it's very possible. I think I would say Zach Moss will be back. And it does strike me that the Colts are not a normal team. they are not this. They're not a normal, like, sane team like what we would expect. I really don't have, as you see over here, 4% Madison, but he's a nice little fit on this team, actually. So I like this. I know I have Hawk in Madison, but I probably need to get a little more Madison in my last 25 drafts or so on drafters. But my take actually is I would not be surprised if Kareem Hunt signed with the Colts. I think Kareem Hunt probably would rather wait out a potential injury on a good team
where he can stay. Yeah.
Yeah. And like think about the Chiefs. Like, something happens to Pacheco. Kareem Hunt also has a history there. It's like, would he rather get a little less money but wait out? I mean, you can make it in bonuses and incentives. If they make the Super Bowl or whatever, he can make back that money, wait out a spot on the Chiefs, or right, Damian Harris goes down again. And it's like, would you rather go play for the Bills, or would you rather go be a committee back on the worst team in the NFL with the give or take the worst team, them and the Cardinals, with the Colts? I kind of feel like the Colts will just ride it out with Deion, Hall, and Zach Moss. But that's like, I don't know, 60-40, 70-30 would be my kind of assessment of that, probably.
As we're making our next two picks, I have seen someone brought it up in the chat. I'll look at it in a second because I'm looking at my draft board. But it's the Kyle Pitts thing. It's Alex in the chat said, what are our thoughts on the reports? Pitts finishes 4th in targets. I haven't read the report fully. I saw people kind of bring it up.
Levitan posted it. Yeah, Levitan posted it.
I mean, to who is like my question. It's like, to who? What is this report? Drake, sure. I think Drake London will probably out-target him if you're going to say that.
Yes.
And yeah, of course.
That was always the expectation.
But who else?
Matt Collins is not out targeting Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry to tell you. I don't even know who the next guy up on the wide receiver list is for Atlanta. And that probably says more about me as a fantasy analyst than anything else. But that's the fucking point. You have to, like, you can say it would have been totally reasonable to say, actually, the start of the quote was basically saying they're using Kyle Pitts in some ways that are going to be really good for the offense, move him around a little bit, but it may not actually lead to more targets for him because he is such a polarizing weapon. He can stretch the defense as a tight end. He can do different things. Now I'm really expanding upon like my interpretation of the beginning of the quote, but basically just saying as Kyle Pitts goes off the board. That's hilarious. Also, the username Triple B is the person who just took Kyle Pitts that you see there out of the 110. That is my father's business name. It's literally called Triple B. Is my father's business. So I'm wondering if my dad is out here smashing drafts, and I'm totally unaware of this. That would be truly hilarious. And this is a little bit of a boomer team. We're gonna have to text. My dad's name is Steve. We're gonna have to text Steve and see what's going on if he's smashing some drafts promo code Spike. But it's not. I mean, it was nonsense. It was an ESPN article from a beat reporter who's basically saying they're going to use Kyle Pitts in some unique ways, which may not actually lead to more targets, which is like fine. That's a fine assessment, but that like do the math. Like, I'm not trying to be a spreadsheet, bro, but like you show me where the fuck the targets are going if they're not going to Kyle Pitts. If he's fourth in targets on that team, I can't conceive of where they could else possibly go. I mean, Drake London's going to have 250 targets.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds absurd, but like, seriously, that's the only other alternative because these other guys, like, and I draft some Mac Collins. So maybe this means Mac gets a few more targets than we think.
Mac Collins, Scotty Miller, Kadero Hodge, Josh Ali.
Yeah, but like this is, come on. Scotty Miller's not getting more targets than fucking Kyle Pitts. Like, stop it. It's being ridiculous.
It's just silly. And Cordero Patterson's going to have the hardest time of his life getting on the field. I mean, I'm sure they'll carve out some sort of role for him at some point, but they're going to have Algier on the field. They're clearly going to have Bijan on the field. Like, it was one of those reports that as soon as I saw it, I rolled my eyes. I'm just like, I don't even really want to dive into this too much because I think it's probably garbage.
Fucking nonsense. 100%. I totally agree. I think what sucks is it actually was probably a decent report or assessment from the beat. I assume it's a beat writer. I didn't look into it. If it's just like a fantasy bro, then throw this whole conversation in the garbage. But I assume it's like a beat, and it's one of those where it's like that's a totally fine assessment to be like, actually, they're using Pitts in some kind of unique ways, and to describe that is like fine and totally reasonable. But then to make this totally outlandish statement to be like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Pitts is 4th on the Falcons in targets. Like, get the fuck out of here. You just ruined the whole, like, you might have had good insight. And yeah, and you're like, what is this guy? Kadero Hodge's fucking brother? Like, what are you saying? You know, that's like, don't be surprised if Travis Kelce's 3rd on the Chiefs in targets. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's not happening. Like, MVS is not beating Travis Kelce in targets. Like, that's the kind of thing that he's saying, right? Like, oh, don't be surprised if Mark Andrews is 4th on the Ravens in targets. Like, buddy, Odell Beckham is not out targeting Mark Andrews. I hate to tell you, you know, it just that you just discredit those ones. It is what it is.
You have to. It's, I don't know. It just was like, I didn't feel like worth looking into, is what I will say.
Well, think about, it's like the Eagles guy who's apparently obsessed with Trey Sermon, who said Trey Sermon was going to make Rashad Penny get cut. And it's like, this dude is at the practices. This dude's watching these, you know, watching the preseason, watching all this stuff. And his job is to report on the team. And he could not be more wrong. Like, literally could not be. He was wrong the whole time. He ended up being wrong, and that dude in particular still won't take his fucking L. Shocker, Trey Sermon did not get claimed off waivers, even though he was like, I wonder which team runs to claim Trey Sermon off of waivers. Shocker, nobody. Like, sometimes these guys get it wrong too, even though that they're reporting on the team. It's like we have to use our brain a little bit on some of these and just be like, no, I think Kyle Pitts is going to be all right. I'm not saying Kyle Pitts is going to smash. There's tons of risk with Kyle Pitts. We've seen it for 2 years. But that report in particular is a great example of things. The train has run away from us if we're taking it that far.
I just want to notate that I'm quietly having the best draft of my life right now.
All right, let's run it. Let's run it down. Let's see. Rob, out of the 105, got a little funky, which I like this actually, with Tony Pollard, Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, Drake London, stacked Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert. You're the fucker that took Dobbins. I wasn't paying that close of attention. And then the fucker after me took JSN. So I'm really have to hold my L on my 2 flag plants getting sniped from me. But anyway, stacked Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. J.K. Dobbins as RB2. That's pretty nice. Brought in some more Chargers with QJ to go with Herbert. Then Kadarius Toney and Khalil Herbert as RB3. Pretty fucking good. I'll run down mine really quickly because we're both Rob's about to be back on the clock. I took Tyreek Hill at the 104, then Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Breece Hall, TJ Hawkinson, Alexander Madison, stacked Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence. I'm taking a little more Ridley because I want to get more Ridley Lawrence stacks. I didn't have enough of those, so I was happy to be able to get that here in this one. I'm pretty psyched about that. And then Rashad Bateman, David Montgomery. I like both of our team. I'm pretty excited about this draft, honestly.
I'm excited about this pick right now. I don't like this. I don't know what I want to do here.
I know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do Geno Metcalf, Lawrence Ridley. I feel pretty good about Breece, Madison, Montgomery as a running back start. Got the elite tight end with Hawkinson. Obviously, I need a little more wide receiver juice. But, I mean, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Rashad Bateman. I'm not upset about that. And this way I don't have to go crazy hunting running backs. This is very true. I think the beat writer is basically saying Matt Collins is a grown-ass man, because Matt Collins famously came out and said, anyone who like, don't eat. What was the Matt Collins quote? It was something about basically no like man eats with utensils. You need to eat with your hands. All your meals should be eaten with your hands or whatever, which is like a fucking legendary type of quote. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain that quote has been in my subconscious. And that's the reason why I have even like 5% Matt Collins or whatever, is because I'm like, oh my God, this dude is a fucking grown ass man. Oh man.
God, I have 2 ways to play this.
Really just hate this range. Really just do not like. definitely don't like Tyler Boyd, but this is what happens when you take all these non-wide receivers before this spot. You got to take the gross wide receiver.
Fuck. I have two ways I want to play this right now. I can talk through both of them after I make my pick.
I don't know why this got me. My dad says I don't like people that eat with utensils, to be honest with you. I mean, that clearly that's a sneaky anti-soup take.
Yeah,
is really what that is.
It is. We're gonna have to bring Mac Hollins in to be a content provider
Yes.
at Spike Week when
I
he
wonder if
retires.
he take a sponsorship. I wonder how much it would cost the sponsor, Mac Hollins.
he just always eats with his hands. He has to do all our food challenges.
Yeah, we would never have to eat hot dogs ever again. Mac will eat them. Oh man! All right, talk to me about Dak. Unstacked Dak. Just didn't like anybody else, or what were you thinking?
So I had two ways I was going to play this when I was just looking at the Dak thing. I have some options in the future with Dak. I have Tony Pollard, which I do think is like a fine QB running back stack.
Yeah, you're right. Not unstacked, but not a wide receiver stack.
Devon A-Chain was the other way I was going to play that spot right there. And just be done. I'm only saying it because I don't think he's coming back to me. And then just kind of almost be done at running back. I could still take a late flyer if I wanted to, but I'd have 5 RBs at that point and just kind of be done with the position that's starting to dry up earlier. But I think I want to go Dak. I think I like the combo of Dak with Herbert and not having to worry about a third quarterback rather than take some dart throws at running back is kind of the way I wanted to play it.
And I take some Dak even when I don't have CD. If you have Pollard, of course. But I think most Dak will be with CD. Or maybe even like naked Dak because people just feel like, oh, I got a fault. Like Dak is sneakily a little bit like Lawrence in the sense that his main options go in front of him. And so he can fall sometimes because people don't have, the Cowboys guy doesn't want him. If you have CD or Brandon Cooks or Pollard, you don't want him. And then nobody else wants to take him because they don't have any stacking options. He can fall a little bit sometimes, but I like to take him occasionally. Not like a ton, handful of times over the course of my 150, but and then backstack him with either both Gallup and Ferguson, or I really do like the Dak Ferguson stack as like a backdoor. And I think you're set up for it real nice. With needing tight ends. When I actively look for that sometimes when I am, like I'm punting tight end, be like, well, I know I'm going to need 3 late round tight ends. And maybe I need my quarterback. I need a quarterback here. Take Dak. I know I'm going to take Ferguson, at 150 or whatever. I like that one quite a bit, actually.
We almost got A-Chain back, but Kenneth ruined it. Classic Kenneth, just coming in, taking Devon A-Chain. Sam Howell going in the 12th round.
Oh, baby. We have jumped the shark. As the 50% the drafted Sam Howell guy on Best Ball Mania. That is rich. I'll leave Gallup for you.
I'm so glad I got my Howell exposure when I got my Howell exposure. Like, I'm super overweight on him, but I've been watching him come up the boards, and there's times where I still look to get him in like the, 14th or 13th round, and he's gone, and I'm just like, oh, good thing we were drafting early for that particular situation.
I'm gonna screenshot the ADP value of my Sam Howell in BBM teams. And let me tell you what, we're taking that shit to the bank and everybody like, oh, I told you to draft Sam Howell. Look at all my closing line value. Like I'm not interested in talking about him if he sucks. But I would like to talk about, I would like to talk about all my closing line value that I'm getting on Sam Howell because I was taking him in the 17th and 18th round of every draft in Best Ball Mania for months, months and months. And now he goes, you just obviously said he just went at 139 overall on Drafters. I know Drafters is actually low-key the sharpest ADP, I think, which is that Howell ADP is the best indication of that clearly. But like, he goes in the 150s, sometimes earlier. Like everybody got hipped to Sam Howell, and like I don't know if it will work, but I feel really good about laying my chips down on this 18th round pick, who's actually really like a 13th round pick.
Yeah, and especially the way that I was drafting in the offseason, throughout the year where I was doing a ton of elite quarterback and stacking that with Howell. So I have a ton of Mahomes, Howell, Hurts, Howell, you name it, like from the top
Exactly.
guys. And I love it. Like I am in love with a lot of my quarterbacks for this upcoming year.
I talked about it when I did exposure. We did exposure review. Like my Howell, it just feels so good. Like even like it's almost I have 50% of a player, and if he fails, it's still really not that big of a deal. Which is like like that's the goal, and I think that gets lost so much in best ball. We always talk about like small loss, big win type of stuff. And I know, I've talked to Kareem tons of times over this summer. I've talked to plenty of people. I understand bench risk, and that's not necessarily a small loss, especially at quarterback. But when you build a team where Howell is either with Mahomes, Lamar, Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, right? It's like, okay, if he gets benched in week 12, I still got Lamar. It's like that team is not dead, right? Like you're not dead. It's not ideal, but you're not dead. If you have Lamar or God, you have Mahomes with Sam Howell, it's fine. You probably weren't using Sam Howell's score ever. You're just hoping for a random spike when Mahomes only scores 18.
What a dickhead.
That was brutal. We'll get to that in a second. But on the flip, the other thing is like on the flip side, you could also punt. Like I have built it basically two ways: Howell, Ritter, Tannehill is my three, and it's like, do I really want to only have Ritter and Tannehill in the playoffs? Of course not. But I still got two quarterbacks. They're probably all stacked, right? It's like, and replace it with Jordan Love or Kenny Pickett or whatever. Pick your flavor. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. It's like I got three of them. I'm not dead if that guy isn't a hit, but like it's like a free roll. Drafting this guy in the 18th round all summer, it just felt like a free roll and with a major, huge win profile. And so those are the kind of players I seek out. If it loses, we're gonna run that shit back next year. Whoever is next year, Sam, I'll be on that guy again, right? Same thing. I'll be on next year's Gabe Davis and next year's J.K. Dobbins. Like, I think that's how we should play this game. So I feel really good about Sam Howell. Yeah. So what are we doing with getting sniped on Ferg?
Yeah, that sucks.
It's a bad tight end run. It's a brutal tight end run for you. You should have just taken Ferguson, by the way.
I almost did. I was so close. I thought there might be enough fodder to like get him back, but there's been a weird thing going on with Cole Kmet that he's falling for some reason.
He sucks.
I mean, but still, like it's happened in the last week.
Plummet. He's plummeting.
He's plummeting, and I've been grabbing him just now because he's like he's turning into the free tight end. And it's like, well, he's gonna have some sort of role. Like I'm not saying I love Cole Kmet, but Jesus, like I guess I'll take him. Like especially because I'm punting tight end so often.
I've taken Fields a little bit to capitalize on the Kmet slide. Like do Fields, elite quarterback, punt tight end. No, you're gonna take 3 and mix him in with this range, right? Take him and Ferguson and Juwan Johnson or whatever. Because you got your elite quarterback. Maybe take a couple early running backs. And you're punting off tight end. So you're still probably going to be decent at wide receiver. For whatever reason on drafters, I like Justin Fields in the playoff formats. I've struggled more with him, and I don't really have a reason for it. I've struggled to click Fields more on drafters. I guess it's because I can tell myself the story of like, buddy, he does have a high floor, but like get Justin Fields to the playoffs, right? And give me the 100-yard. Like he could like double bonus in a playoff game on DraftKings and just like win everything for you. But I've struggled a little bit with him on drafters.
Yeah, and also I think both of us started drafting on drafters a bit later.
Yeah.
So we didn't get the discount on Fields as much as we got the discount on other players. Right. And I think that does weigh into your head just a little bit. Not always. Sometimes I don't care, but it's, we're talking 5th to 4th round on Fields. We're not talking 12th to, or, like late round stuff here. We're talking early round stuff. and there's just a lot of really good Justin Fields teams out there probably.
Yeah.
So I'm still been building with Fields like you said as well, but I can't take Cole Kmet. I just can't do it on this team.
Fields, I literally yesterday, I mean, I've drafted a lot of drafters teams over the course of this weekend. So I can't just say like, oh, this is the one team I drafted yesterday, but I did Fields. And I draft a lot of Fields with DJ Moore, of course, because I like that upside bet. But I actually did a Fields fell to like the late 5th or something like that.
Ooh.
And I just scooped him. And then I didn't even like take Mooney. We went Kmet and Tyler Scott in the 20th round. And it was like, I want to talk about like a Kmet at the cheapest price he's going to be all summer. So you're getting a great price on Kmet. I got a great price on Fields. And then I take the 20th round guy who is literally like going to be like 2%. I'm going to have half the Tyler Scott teams in, in this whole tournament. I felt like that was a fun way to approach it. They also mentioned under the radar, I don't imagine it's going to actually come to fruition, but reports of Darnell Mooney on the trade block and that they were potentially looking to trade him. I think it's like most of those kind of reports bullshit, but I thought it was at least like mildly interesting. And it at least is potentially a feather in the cap for Tyler Scott, that like he's been getting nothing but training camp hype, but if they're willing to trade one of their starters, clearly that means they like him. So yeah, probably nothing, but maybe not nothing. Certainly if it happens, my God, Tyler Scott is a smash if Mooney gets traded. But at least it's, I think, a positive about how they view him as a player.
Can we talk, since we're just talking about the Bears, I hate the DJ Moore discourse that's going on in best ball right now. It honestly blows my mind. All I keep hearing from multiple like people is they can't draft. You can only draft DJ Moore with Justin Fields because they're inherently linked together. And my brain just goes to, well, yeah, because every fucking wide receiver is linked to their quarterback in some way. Like his upside is always linked to what Justin Fields does, just like, Juju Smith-Schuster's upside is linked to Mac Jones, like in terms of what he's going to do.
Kadarius Toney is linked to Patrick Mahomes. Yeah.
Right. It blows my mind. Like, I think you can easily draft DJ Moore without drafting Justin Fields. He's got fine standalone value. It just, I don't know. It just felt like a talking point that's batshit crazy to me. Like, do I want to draft them together? Yeah. But you want to draft, like,
of course,
all of them together with their quarterbacks. I'm not making it a point that I only draft DJ Moore with Justin Fields. Like, come on, what are we doing?
I would not do that. I actually think that's probably bad.
Probably, I agree.
And the counter would be, if you believe that, just don't fucking draft them. Like you can like that, and that's fine. Like I'm not saying like I understand. I've talked to tons of people about the Fields DJ Moore thing. I understand the downside. I understand the negatives about DJ Moore and Fields and the Bears. Understand all of that. But if DJ Moore is DJ Moore and consolidates the targets, he can be like, you don't have to like Justin Fields doesn't have to be the best quarterback pick in fantasy for DJ Moore to be a good pick. Like we really hyper focus on some things, I think, sometimes in the fantasy / best ball space. Here we go. And it's like, yes, the ceiling outcomes for Justin Fields and DJ Moore are correlated, just as the floor ones are. That's what happens with two wide range of outcomes players being on the same team. It does not mean, however, that every outcome is perfectly correlated. That's not how this game works, right? It's like, yes, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. If Travis Kelce keeps smashing, guess what? Patrick Mahomes is probably having a good year. That doesn't mean that I have to have Patrick Mahomes on my Travis Kelce teams. Right. Like there's so much more nuance to this game that sometimes we get really hyper focused on. Like, if I drafted Mike Williams, I have to draft Justin Herbert. Like, the fuck you do? No, you absolutely do not. Like, Fields can have a great year, and still you don't have to have Fields on your DJ Moore teams, right? And it's just like, there's just so much nuance that I think we get really stuck in the this is how this stack wins or whatever. This is how this player wins, so I have to do it this way. And I think sometimes we miss the forest for the trees.
I agree. It just kind of blows my mind sometimes. Like,
Okay, if I
some of
just
this
want
stuff.
to really quickly say I'm drafting Matt Collins.
There it
This is,
is.
I mean, after all this conversation, if I didn't draft Matt Collins on this team, I kind of need some wide receiver juice. And apparently he's going to out target Kyle Pitts. So, I feel like he's a good fit on this team.
I hope you draft Scotty Miller next. I hope we
Yeah.
just get the whole
Daryl
Atlanta.
Hodge. Welcome to the team. If I were that beat writer, I'm assuming he's allowed to play best ball. If you believe that, get your ass on these sites and draft all those other Falcons, because that is it. If you're right, that is a huge draft. Drake London and every other Falcon besides Kyle Pitts, because that is a huge edge.
We should do next year. We should do a weekly reports draft. We'll do it like a friends and family draft, where we just sit here and we draft based off of all the reports. So we got like Trey Sermon, fucking Daryl Hodge on a team. Like, just have these teams and we'll just label them too, right? We'll do it on Underdog so we can label them like Camp Report 1, and we just look through, and then we can just go through at the end of before the season even begins, and then after the season, and look at the Camp Report teams, and it will show you why you need to take literally everything with a grain of salt.
If I didn't care about winning money, that'd be the greatest bit of all time, because
we do it with $3.
That's a good idea. We'll do some $1 sit and goes or whatever, and draft literally the worst teams of all time, just to prove this point that, like, spoiler alert, Trey Sermon was never a good pick and he was never going to make this team. You fucking idiots! Like, stop with the camp hype stuff. It's total nonsense.
Yeah, I think those teams would be a lot of fun to look at.
That's a good. Yeah, it really would be fun, because it's a way to. It's so hard to keep track of. I mean, we talked about this over the course of the summer, the amount of videos and tweets, and it's impossible for any singular human to keep up with. So you're never going to keep up with all, like, remember it. Like, the next 4 months are going to be complete and utter chaos, right? In the NFL, guys are going to get hurt. Shit's going to happen we don't expect. So to be able to remember, the OTA hype on every player is like basically impossible. But keeping a log of it somehow, like with teams, it'd be like, I drafted off all the camp hype on all of these $1 sit and goes, and they all got fucking last.
Yeah. They have the lowest point total we've ever seen in a best ball draft is what would happen. We could even do it monthly. I'm like just thinking of different ways, because I'm correlating this to hometown ghost stories. I go and I find like haunted headlines from like the past, and I put them in like a folder. We could put all the camp hype in a folder and do a July camp hype thing.
I like
and
it.
Just draft all the July camp hype things. This is how my brain works. So
my brains are broken. Just own it and move on.
Felix brings up a good point. The have to is the silly conversation.
Yeah,
and I agree.
This is the crux. That's the crux of the whole thing, right? Is like, It's not that the actual idea behind it is bad. Like, I actually do draft most of my Justin Fields is with DJ Moore. I'm not arguing the sentiment around their 99%, 99th percentile outcomes correlated together is a fucking home run and a smash. And so I want them together, but it's just you have to do this. You never have to do anything in baseball. You don't, even the shit that we say, like, oh, you should do this or you shouldn't do this. There's nothing that is have to or can't or any of that. All of that discourse is the problem. So I agree.
I agree completely. I heard it multiple places, and I was just like, dude, what are we doing? What are we doing? What is Erik going to do here?
That is a great question. We are into no man's land. So we are going to probably take a wide receiver. Where is he? There we go. I'm trying to so I drafted Kendrick Bourne on drafters in particular. I'm trying to take a little bit more Kendrick Bourne.
Dude, I have been too.
It makes me fucking sick to my stomach.
Same.
But I feel like he was a miss for me over the last couple of months, where I was just like, Kendrick Bourne, really? Like really? You're going to draft Kendrick Bourne? What is the point? But I'm like, as the summer has gone on, and then, like, in particular, that last week or whatever, we get the report that they had a bunch of trade offers for Kendrick Bourne, and they told everybody to F off, and they were like, no, he's too important to us. That feels to me like I'm getting a starting wide receiver in 2 wide sets on a team who has 0 target competition and is probably going to be playing from behind a lot, and I'm getting him in the 19th, 18th, 19th, 20th round, it feels pretty good. So I've been sadly, and like it pains me every time I do it, but I do like Kendrick Bourne, especially on drafters, where just having those decent weeks can be super helpful.
He's also been able to allow me to set up some third QB stacks with Mac Jones if I need him. So like that's the other reason I've been drafting Kendrick.
That's a great. Yep. You can. We always talked about how the backdoor stacks were great for the Patriots. We just thought it was Taekwon, and it turns out it's actually It's Mac, Hunter Henry, and Kendrick Bourne. You might get the wide receiver 1, tight end 1, and quarterback on a stack in the like an underdog 16th, 17th, 18th round, and on here even later probably.
You can get the whole team stack. You can get Hunter Henry, Bourne, Mac Jones, like around 17, 18, 19. Like in general, if you just want to do the whole Patriot stack.
It's crazy.
Which I've done a few times. Actually,
and I mean, they suck. We all think they're going to suck. I don't like Mac Jones. I don't like any of these guys, but it isn't NFL offense. like that, like if you gave me all of the Colts in the last round, like I think they're going to suck, but I'll take them in the, in the 16th, 17th, 18th. It's a very different situation. The Patriots are completely and utterly free. It's just the running backs. People like the running backs. And it's like, I don't know, on a bad team, are the running backs the most valuable resource here? Or we want if they're going to throw it 35, 40 times a week, I don't think that's their plan to throw it that much.
It's not their plan.
But guess what? You don't get to plan around that when you're playing the Bills and the Dolphins and the Jets. Like it just may happen. And all the wide receivers are free. And Juju's the worst one, and he's only going to play in the slot. Like we got the 2 starting outside wide receivers and the tight end who are going to play every snap in the last 3 rounds. Seems silly.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of Patriots, which,
good for you. It's good for you in Patriots country.
No, it's not. I want them to blow this team up, so I want them to suck, but not for my best ball shares.
Yeah. You think Bill's going to get fired or retire or get fired? They will never fire him.
They'll never fire him.
Do you think he'll walk away because it's not going to go well this year?
I thought he was going to walk away soon, and now I think he's so stubborn that he won't. Is kind of the problem.
There's not even any light at the end of the tunnel.
There's none. There's none.
It needs to be blown up, like you said, and start over.
It's the worst. Like it is the legit worst. It's the situation I dreaded. Like it was what I did not want to see happen. Right? Like no one wants to see their team in complete purgatory. And they've put themselves in purgatory.
They're in like worse
for no reason
because they're not even competitive. Usually the purgatory team is like, maybe they can sneak in the playoffs. I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan in baseball, right? They actually are the Patriots now, the team that has been winning constantly. 1 second, I want to find my new flavor. There we go. I've been drafting some A.T. Perry in the last round, and I feel like he's got outs to being the 3rd wide receiver for the Saints over Rashid Shaheed. Like I was drafting a bunch of Rashid Shaheed, and I do like him too, especially with the plummet. But it's like Rashid Shaheed has to be the exact profile of the guy who gets replaced the next year. Is like they had no one at wide receiver, and he earned his way onto there because he was like an explosive return man. And it's like now they got this rookie who made the team, flashed in preseason, flashed in camp, like is a big body. He's actually like an actual NFL wide receiver size. I could see him coming on down the stretch. But anyway, Patriots, like I said, are just very much like my St. Louis Cardinals. They've been trying to continue to compete without really going all in to compete, but never going all out. And then eventually the rubber meets the road and all your guys get old and you're not very good anymore. And now the Cardinals are one of the worst teams in baseball. And frankly, the Patriots are going to be one of the worst teams in football this year. And so that's like, what do you do? I would send Bill Packin and I would totally trade everybody away. That's what I would do if I were running the Patriots. It's uncomfortable, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? Win 5 games a year for the next 4 years?
but we don't even know what Bill's contract. So like this is a whole nother conversation because he's not part of the it's why you never saw Bill Belichick in Madden games, because he's not part of the union, like the coaches union or whatever it is. So we don't know what his contract is. We don't know how that dude could be making more money than anyone's ever made coaching. We have no idea
Probably
what
is.
he's making. I would assume he is, right? Like you would assume so. So A, why would he step aside? B, is probably ironclad, and B, C, D, E, F, G. Patriots are never going to get rid. Although sentiment has turned around here, he's basically like a living legend within the team. Getting rid of Brady too early really did tarnish the legacy a little bit.
Yeah, that is for sure. It'll be interesting. I'm actually very interested to see how it turns out with the Patriots this year. Couple of quick questions. I don't know. It looks like Rob froze up on me, so I'll hit some of your questions that you guys have here. This is a good one from Artie. Born was a star in college. I would say, I hope so. Most guys should be very good in college if they're NFL football players. But I do agree that I think Kendrick Bourne's a little bit underrated. I think he's a little bit underrated based on what he kind of popped up with right? Stuck around with the 49ers. He popped up for a huge game last year. I think he's maybe a little bit underrated. I underrated him. That was the whole point. Is I was very much wrong. I underrated him. It was almost like he was the Samaje Perine and Tyquan was Chris Evans. That's what it felt. I screwed that up again, but just at the wide receiver position. I wanted the young guy to be the thing, and the trusted veteran was the thing. Let's see. Brian asks, is it too much to take Bijan, London, Pitts, Algier, and Ritter? Yeah. For me, I would not take all of them together. I think I would not take Algier and Bijan together personally. I think handcuffing type stuff is up in the air in terms of whether we should do it, but it's very much for me case by case. But I'm not handcuffing my first round running back. Certainly not in best ball. And then with Ritter, I don't hate him with Bijan, but I don't want Ritter, Bijan, London, and Pitts. I think 2 out of the 3 of the skill guys is where I would land because they are going to be run heavy. And I think it's very tough for all of the skill guys to really be like the nuts. Now, you don't need that, but I just think spreading yourself a smidge too thin, right? Like Ritter can have a great season. Bijan can have a great season, but can Ritter prop up both London and Pitts if Bijan is a first round pick that you want to have? I don't know. I have taken Ritter, London, Pitts, Algier. So to counter that, basically I'm saying I would not all of them, but there's some combinations that you can do with 2 or 3 of those guys. Jeremy, we did talk about JT on a show last week, but I'll just hit it super quickly. Where are you taking him now that he's on PUP? I have him ranked in the 90s. He's around how we classified it is we drop him into a tier break after some running backs that we really like. And he is kind of in like the Brian Robinson tier is where I would put him. So wherever you kind of like Brian Robinson and AJ Dillon and Antonio Gibson, those guys is kind of where I put JT. Now, obviously he has a ton of upside, but the risk is about as big as it gets. Speaking of gets, says rate my team. What's your username? Gonna need your username, and then I will absolutely rate your team. And of course, you are very welcome, Brian. I will run down both Rob and I's team super quickly before I get out of here. And also, everyone enjoy your Labor Day. What a wonderful Monday. Going to be drafting probably my most serious home league this afternoon, auction draft. I don't know what this means. Put it in here. Like you want to share your team and have me run it down here? Oh, you can post it. That's fine. Just got to put it in the chat. So for me in this draft, I like this. I like this team. It's maybe not my absolute favorite team, but I like this team. Team number 115 on drafters for me. Tyreek Hill in the first, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf come back with Breece Hall as my RB1 in the fourth, TJ Hawkinson in the fifth, Alexander Madison in the sixth, and then Trevor Lawrence to go with Calvin Ridley, Rashad Bateman, David Montgomery. Not a guy who I draft a ton, but a nice ADP value on him, and I think a nice fit with Breece in particular. Geno Smith to stack with DK Metcalf, Tyler Boyd, Damian Harris, Kenneth Gainwell, Jalen Hyatt, Richie James, Evan Hall, Mac Hollins, the hand eater himself, Kendrick Bourne, Trey McBride, and A.T. Perry. And then Rob's team really quickly drafted right directly behind me in the 105. Tony Pollard went. I love Rob's Galaxy brain. He's definitely a big fit with the Spike Week gal brainers. Pulling up Tony Pollard all the way to the 105, pairing him with Devonta Smith. Very unique pairing. Very, very, very unique pairing with Tony Pollard and Devonta Smith. Keenan Allen, Drake London stacks Keenan Allen with Justin Herbert, J.K. Dobbins, Quentin Johnston, Kadarius Toney, Khalil Herbert, Zach Charbonnet. Takes Dak Prescott. Really fucked this one up. Takes Dak Prescott, Darnell Mooney, Gerald Everett. This is where he should have, I'll give him shit. He should have taken Jake. He should have just taken Ferguson. Should have just taken him, got the stack over with, and not sweated out Ferguson falling back. Takes Gerald Everett, Alec Pierce, Irv Smith, Jerome Ford, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Michael Mayer, Keontae Ingram, and Terrace Marshall. Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun. Don't love my team, but sometimes that could be good. 100%. 100%. And gets to close out your team, Kirk Cousins, Breece Hall, Khalil Herbert, with Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, George Kittle, and Chris Godwin. I mean, you're on the right path for how I like to build teams, for sure. Kupp, I mean, really the big question is Kupp for you. In PPR, you said 12-man PPR. Getting Chase and Kupp together with Waddle and Kittle and Godwin and Breece, you're building teams exactly how I would build them. So I definitely like this team. I don't like Cousins, like unstacked cut. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks I would, be interested in around the Kirk Cousins tier. I would have gone with something that, like you have Jalen Waddle, just get Tua instead of Kirk Cousins, or, you have Kittle, go Brock Purdy or whatever. I prefer to do that in this structure, but other than the Kupp, vibes problems, that looks good. Looks good to me. That's going to do it here for a special holiday edition of Monday afternoon best ball here at Spike Week. We'll be back tomorrow. I think we're going to do a draft stream around this time, again, around lunchtime. And then we're going to be back for our Tuesday night regular show, Spike Week Sickos, where Rob and I are going to walk through all of our exposures, our biggest player stands, our biggest player fades, some things we maybe would like to have back, all that kind of stuff tomorrow. We'll see you guys. Have a wonderful Monday, a wonderful Labor Day. I'll see you guys in 24 hours. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? If you turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.